So my question has to do with crops that the Europeans would have brought over that did not do very well in this climate. Could you help us identify some of those foodstuffs?
Yes, as Rob was mentioning earlier, grapes did not do very well here, the European varietals. And still today, I understand the European varietals must be put upon American rootstocks in order for them to grow in this country today. So when you start your vineyard, it's something to be concerned about. What other things did not do well? Well, gooseberries don't like our very hot climate here in Virginia, but into the north, the gooseberry that many British people love so well does very well there.
Yeah, and a lot of us, the citrus, just if we're too far north of the equator, for things like limes, lemons, and oranges to grow here.
But they tried many things. In the days of Jamestown, they tried growing rice in the marshy swamplands around there. It didn't go, but then again, there was a little conflict going on, so we might try that again.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Beatrice Griezmann from Taft High School, and we would like to know how did the European dining habits affected the colonies, the dining habits that they have. We're talking about time of the day, celebrations, etiquette, anything that you can tell us about it.
Well, one thing is that the dining habits, at least amongst the elite, is they're doing something known as the dining in the French way, the à la française, which means that here we have a diagram of a table set up, which, if you can imagine, your Thanksgiving dinner table, which is going to be in the next several weeks, instead of picking the plates up and moving them around, or having an individual servant come around and serve you, the plates stay put. You do not move the plates, because you want to maintain the look of this meal throughout the whole process. So, as dinner guests, you pass around your individual plate that you're going to eat off of, and then as a dinner guest, whatever you're seated next to, you're doing the carving and serving. And of course, by doing that, it forces you to do something at the dinner table, which is really why you're there, which is not eating. It's socializing. So you may not be familiar with someone at the dinner table, but the one thing you do have in common is the food, and that is a way to really, food is a great icebreaker. The great way to judge or talk about or learn about any culture is you got to eat their food. If I go to any other part of the world or any city, I don't go for the chain restaurants. I'm going to go what the locals are eating, and so where you get that information right there. So you learn about the culture right there.
Very interesting. Thank you so much. Here is Mr. Hunt.
Good morning. My name is Nicholas Ham. I'm a teacher at York High School. And looking around, I noticed there's not much tomato products. We did a reading in our class where it mentioned that tomatoes were actually thought to be venomous. During the colonial times, did people eventually incorporate the tomato into their dietary food?
You go right
Okay, we'll go right ahead. Okay. Well, we don't have any on the table right now because, well, this is late October, so tomatoes are out of season. But you definitely would see tomatoes by the end of the 18th century here in North America. We are already beginning to incorporate tomatoes into our diet. The tomato do kind of a long journey. They come out of Central and South America, through Europe, and bounce over to Britain, and then eventually over to North America. So you are correct. I mean, that's a lot of foods has been introduced new to our culture. They think it's poisonous. What do I do with it? And they are drawing a very logical parallel with that. That the tomato is related to a plant called nightshade, which is deadly. So they are, so their concerns are valid in that case. But yeah, absolutely. Right here in Williamsburg, which one of my late colleagues, again, Jim Gay, said this was kind of the epicenter of tomato eating. There was a doctor of Jewish Portuguese descent who was writing back and forth apparently with Thomas Jefferson, talking about how to grow tomatoes in a Virginia climate and all the health benefits. So by the end of the 18th century, early 19th century, yes, here in America we have incorporated the tomato in our diets at this point.
But many plants take that same route of being found in the New World, going to Europe, and then coming back to North America.
Absolutely.
Like what we today call the sweet potatoes. These were grown here in Williamsburg, one that's been market grown. But for that time, we might refer to them as the Spanish potato. because it's so very well thought of. And that's the preference. White potatoes are available, but they're not as sweet as they. So actually, Spanish or sweet potato is very well liked, but it makes the same trick.
And I might want to add to that too, that here in America today, we kind of use the term sweet potato and yams interchangeably. But what we eat in America today is really the sweet potato. Yam is actually West African, which is, it's very similar. It's larger, has a much more light yellow fruit. So a lot of the African Americans coming over, that was one thing that they could identify as a food that they were familiar with. But really what we eat is not yams, it is sweet potatoes.
Okay, so classes, what questions might you have for us?
We only have Taft High School. So Taft High School, do you have any questions for us? And I can't see you, so you're going to have to step up if you do. Chris, if you can help facilitate this. You want to turn your